Episode 81 of the Late Night Vision Show. Welcome back, y'all. I am Hans. We have a full show for you today, and we're going to be talking about best high-end thermal scopes for 2019. But before we get to that, we're going to bring in the owner of Outdoor Legacy Gear, Mr. Jason Robertson. Now, last week, Jason had the crud and was coughing. This week, it's my turn, and I promise we have not been kissing on each other.
Well, I promise that, and I think I'm healed, but I don't want to make any promises. I'll be hacking up a lung too, but yeah. So,
well, I've got cough drops ready to go. I've got a drink. We'll see how this goes, but it has been the last few days sleeping at night has been tough. But I'm ready to talk about these high-end thermals, because last week we talked about everything below 4 to 6, and now we get to play with the big boy toys.
Yeah, and I want to hurry this up too, because it's the first time that I've had hogs in my pasture in several weeks, and it never fails. If y'all are regular listeners, you hear Hans and I complain about this, and it's some kind of Murphy's Law. If there's going to be hogs out that are ripe for the picking, it's going to be on the night that we're recording the podcast every time. Always. So
no
anyway,
doubt.
We don't have any choice because the show must go on. But yeah, folks, Hans mentioned it. We're going to jump right in. We've been doing these best of for 2019 shows. We've done the best scopes under $4,000. We've done the best under $6,000, and now it's basically going to be everything above $6,000. It's really going to be in that $6,000 to $10,000 range. I know this is going to be a lot of people are going to listen and say, this is, way out of my range, something I'll never own, don't even care anything about it. Completely understand.
But there's, you know what? That doesn't stop me from, getting the magazine and look at all the fancy trucks that I know I can't afford.
That's exactly right. No, it is. And sure. And there's been guys that are, aren't going to buy some of the less expensive scopes, and they've been listening. And folks, don't worry. We're going to do some stuff that's, under the $3,000 range. There's not a lot of options down there, but we have not forgot those scopes, and so we'll be doing one of those in the coming weeks. So just stay tuned. We'll be talking about that as well. But getting into this, I'm going to lay out the scopes that we're going to throw in contenders for this tonight. We're going to start at basically the least expensive and go up to the most expensive. These are all going to be from two companies tonight. They're going to be from basically Trijicon and one from Envision. So Trijicon rules the roost here tonight. But I'm going to give this list, and then I'm going to come back and make a caveat about it. So let's start here at the beginning. At $69.99, we've got the Type 2 Reap IR 20 millimeter at 1.5 power. At the same price, we've got the IR Hunter Mark II 35 millimeter, 2.5 power. Moving up at $74.95, we've got the Envision Halo LR 50 millimeter at 3.5 power. At $74.99, we've got the IR Hunter Mark III 35 millimeter at 2.5 power. We've got the at $79.99, the Type 2 Reap IR 35 millimeter, 2.5 power. We also have $79.99, the Type 1 Reap IR 35 millimeter, 2.5 power. I'm going to come back to these Reaps in just a minute and all the Type 2s. We've got $89.99. That is the IR Hunter Mark III 60 millimeter, 4.5 power. And topping it off at $9,495 is the Type 2 Reap IR 60 millimeter, 4.5 power. Now, I know a lot of people may not be familiar with all these different scopes. I'm going to make this easier. I'm going to take 3 scopes off this list. It's not that they're not good optics. It's because I don't think that there's something I would choose, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to take all the Type 2 Reaps off. Now, I know there's going to be some guys who own these right now who are gasping and can't believe I would do it. And I'm not saying they're bad scopes. I just personally have a couple issues with them. Well, I should say one big issue with them, and so I'm going to remove them for that reason. And what it is, if you don't know the difference in the Type 1 and the Type 2, a Type 2 Reap has all the features of a Type 1, plus it has a one-shot zero, it has a Picatinny rail on the top, so, okay, that's not bad, but it has a different it has a different battery compartment. So on the Type 1 Reaps, the batteries are horizontal, and there's aftermarket external battery packs. We have those available. We sell a whole lot of them. Most guys that are running these scopes for long hours really want an external battery pack. And so the Type 2, they moved the battery compartment to a vertical battery compartment. And currently, there is no way to run external batteries on there. And so a phone call that I get all the time is guys who have already purchased their Reap. They didn't buy it from me, so nobody bothered to tell them this. And they say, hey, I'm digging all over the internet, and I am trying to find an external battery compartment for these, Type 2 Reap because it's eating batteries. Does yours work? And I'm like, nope. Nobody. And I've had some guys nearly in tears, like, I spent $8,000 or $9,000 and now I'm just having to feed this thing batteries. And so again, it's not the end of the world by any means. And hey, one day there may be something fixed there. There may be some way to do that. A lot of guys will say, hey, I don't care. I don't want to run external batteries. I know for Hans and I, we do like the option of external battery power. We may not use it on short hunts, but on long hunts we might. And especially guys that are in colder weather, they're absolutely going to want something besides two CR123A lithium batteries in there. So I'm going to take off the Type 2. So I'm not going to read this whole list again by all the details, but I'm going to go real quick and tell you what we've got left. We've got the Mark II 35 millimeter, the Envision Halo LR 50 millimeter, the Mark III 35 millimeter, Type 1 Reap, which is only a 35 millimeter, and then the Big Daddy, the Mark III 60 millimeter 4.5 power. So that really brings us back down to 5 scopes, being there originally at 8. So that's where we're at. Again, nothing against the Type 2s for those guys who already own them. It's just something that we're not gonna choose them for that reason. So I just wanted to go ahead and mark them off the list and tell you why we weren't choosing them. So that is where we are now. Rolling right into this, Hans, why don't you start this thing off on your picks?
Yeah. So we're going to do the same format as we've done before. We're going to start out with our favorites. We're going to do a 1 and 2, but our favorites for long range shooting, mostly primarily coyote hunting. Then we're going to go to our southern hog hunting, our close shooting favorite rifle scopes, and then our overall pick. Same format as we've done before in the other shows. And I'll start it off. This is our favorite for long range shooting.
Your favorite.
Thermal. My favorite.
Yeah, I don't know what yours is going to be, but
my favorite for coyote hunting thermal scope. So I'm going to say my favorite scope in this category is going to be the Envision Halo LR at 3.5 power, which is probably more close to 3 power than 3.5 power than we've discussed before in the past in speaking about the Halos. My second choice is going to be the Trijicon Mark III 60 millimeter at 4.5 power. But and the reason, very close. I mean, the picture images are both very good. They're both using the BAE core, 12 micron. Now, a difference with the list of scopes that we have tonight versus the other lists we've had on previous shows, none of them include internal video recording. All of them run on the CR123A batteries, but like Jason said, you can get an external battery pack. If you want to record video, you'll have to get an MDVR to record video. So there's no advantages or disadvantages based on those features.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm going to butt in here. That's a great point, Hans, and we jumped into this. That's my fault. I should have mentioned that. I was running down this list, and I just kind of made this assumption that everybody knows that, and that was dumb on my part. Hans is right. I kind of jumped in because these optics are all so similar, because every single one of these on this list, even the Type 2 Reaps that I marked off, they're all running that BAE 640 by 480 12 micron thermal core. Exact same thermal core. That's something we haven't had in any other comparison of all the other price ranges. Everyone's running the same thing. We can get in here and argue over which one has the better image quality, which we might do a little bit later. Some people say, the Halo LR is a little better than the Trijicon, back and forth. Maybe the glass is better. That's an argument to be had, but they are extremely similar image quality, all super high end, some of the best that you
Yep.
can get in the consumer market. And Hans said it, and I'll say it again. None of these optics have internal video recording. It's external with a DVR only, or putting a camera or a phone or something behind the eyepiece. None of them have internal battery packs. It's all 123A batteries with
Right.
the option of external battery packs on all of these. So anyway, and you just mentioned that, and no smartphone apps, anything like that. I'm really
Right.
glad you brought that up. We're kind of backpedaling there, but yeah. So you chose the
Yeah, I chose
Halo LR.
And really, I'm a big fan. I used Trigicon, used Envision. I do think that the Envision Halo picture is slightly better, and I'm very slightly better. But I just like the functionality, the button layout, the setup. One of the easiest scopes that I think you'll pull out of a box and power up and start using. And for people like myself, and there's a lot of people like me, the less complicated the better, but you still get a great scope, great optic. That's the reason why I chose it for my best long range thermal coyote hunting scope.
Well, I'll tell you here, folks, I'm going to cop out on a couple of these tonight. I always, Hans says I'm like a politician,
man, yeah.
but on this one, I'm going to say this. I'm going to be shamed into saying the Mark III 60 millimeter 4.5 power. And I say shamed. It is an amazing optic. It's a long range optic at 4.5 power. And that's what we're talking about, is long range coyote hunting. I'm going to choose it. I think that I would be, I'd get hate mail if I didn't. It is really, in my opinion, with that magnification, the best long range coyote hunting optic. But I honestly like the Halo LR as a scope overall better. But it is 3.5 power. As Hans said, it's probably closer to 3 power. I think it's perfectly fine for, normal coyote hunting, even, longer range shooting, because good gravy, you bump it up one time, you're at 6 power. So that's a lot. I think it's perfectly fine there. But being a stickler for the rules, we are saying, long range. I'm going to just choose the 60 millimeter Trigicon there, but I do really, really like the LR. Now, one thing that is funny about this LR is you're going to see this come up again down here. I don't know what Hans is going to choose. I'm going to talk about it again in a minute, because it at this 3 power, it's, or 3.5 as it says, but again, we believe it's closer to 3 power in reality, closer to that range. You're in this funny place of, it's a little more than I want for close range hunting. Some guys would say it's not as much as they want for super long range. So in my opinion, it's kind of the best of both worlds. And Envision was very, very wise. If we're not going to come out with 5 scopes, let's shoot right up the middle, that it's low enough magnification that our hog hunters can use it, but high enough that our coyote hunters can use it. So it's going to be interesting how it pops up on a long range and probably back again on a short range. But anyway, so I'm going to choose the Mark III 60 millimeter. I do like the buttons and all the menu system personally a little bit better on the Halo, but gosh, the turret system on the Mark III works really, really well, and I will never say one bad thing about that optic, because it is a amazing optic with amazing image quality. And so I'm going to have to default to that for my long range pick. Now,
Nice.
moving along, we're going to go to the Southern Hog Hunter.
You're not going to give a number 2?
Yeah, I did. That's a Halo.
Okay.
I mean,
All
I'm
right.
giving it as almost a tie, but I'm only giving it to the Mark III 60 millimeter because of the magnification, folks.
Gotcha.
Just so you remember, it's $89.99, whereas the Envision Halo is $74.95. If price comes into it, I'm choosing the Halo every time. I mean, we're talking about $1,500, and so if you say, hey, I like both these scopes, but gosh, $1,500 is $1,500. I'm going to choose the Halo. No question. If there's dollars at play there, that's what I'm going to choose. I'm choosing that Mark III, assuming that money's not an object at that point, and that's not playing any role in your decision. So now moving into the Southern Hog Hunter. Well, we say Southern because there are hogs all over the South now, not just Texas. So we'll include Texas in that, but in Southern hog hunting. This is where I get really torn because there's a lot of good scopes in this magnification range that I like. The IR Hunter Mark II, 35 millimeter, 2.5 power. Okay, it's $69.99, so $7,000. Then we've got the Halo LR at 3.5 power. Again, closer to 3 power. Really like that. I think it's a little more than I want for some of the close range hog hunting we do. But gosh, I like the LR. And then there's so many.
It sounds like you're just working this out in your brain here.
Well, I am, but this is my cop out. I think that the Mark II and the Mark III, 35 millimeters. There's $500 between them. There's very, very little between the two, a little bit of firmware issues. I think you can buy either one of those and be just fine. I don't see any big reason personally to buy the Mark III over the Mark II. So I think that's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. And then I really like the Reap IR. I used a Reap IR for a long time. Type 1s when we're talking about 35 millimeter, 2.5 power. Really like it. We've talked about this before, and Hans knows what I'm fixing to bring up. The one thing that kind of bothers me, it bothers me a lot, is that they put the joystick that runs the Reap, it is on the wrong side of the scope for right-handed. I know. It's on the right side, which is not the free hand for a right-handed shooter. That bothers me. If they moved that thing to the other side, I would choose it. It would move it on up. For me personally, I'm going to discount it. It does not bother a lot of guys. I personally like the fact that the Reap is a smaller package. It's lighter weight. I think it looks really, really good. I want to choose it. I've used it a bunch, but I'm gonna just take it off of my pick because of the controls. So I am working this out in my head, as y'all can tell.
Yeah.
So going down here, I'm gonna put this between the Mark III, the Mark II, and the Halo LR. And I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Halo LR as my choice here. It is a little more magnification than I want, but I do like it slightly better here than either one. I know.
You surprised me on that one.
Well, it's so close. I like both of the Mark II and the Mark III. I think, again, they're just a toss-up between those two. You're not gaining any image quality by going one to the other, but I think I'm going to give it to the Halo just because of the controls. I really like it, but I'm going to put the Mark II and the Mark III in tie in second place. And I am working this out in my head, but I do. I like the LR there. I wanted to choose it for the long range, but I think I can choose it for the shorter range. Now, I'm going to give myself a little bit of an out on this, and I'm going to say that if you are shooting really close range stuff, if almost all your shots are under 100 yards, then I'm going to say you really probably should default at that point back down to maybe one of the 2.5 power IR hunters. I think the Halo is a really good all around. I think you can take that scope and you can shoot hogs in Texas and the South, and I think you can also go out west or up north and shoot coyotes. So I do like that pick. So go ahead. What are you going to tell me? What are you going to do here?
You're basically giving all your picks for everything coming up. You
haven't,
overall and everything.
I haven't said it's my overall. I got some other things. I'm still working this out.
Okay. Well, mine's going to be pretty easy. So Southern hog hunting, close range, 50 to 100 yards. My favorite pick in this category, which I've used a bunch as well, the Trijicon Reap IR 20 millimeter at 2.5 power. And my second choice is going to be the Halo LR at 3 power, or 3 to 3.5 power.
Hang on 1 second. I just want to correct something. It's the Reap IR at 35 millimeter.
Yeah, I'm sorry, did I say 20?
You
Yeah,
did.
30,
You're talking
yeah,
about the Type 2, but you're talking about the Type 1
yeah,
Reap IR 35 millimeter.
yeah, 35 millimeter. And the reason is, and we talked about on our last show, where I picked the Pulsar Thermion because it was 2 power. That 2 power is my sweet spot. 2 to 2.5 is perfect for me. So I did it based on, it was a little bit lower magnification than the Halo at 3 or 3.5. So really that was the justification for my choice, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to waver back and forth. That's my choice.
I know you're making me want
yeah,
to change, but it's
the Trijicon Reap IR 35 millimeter and the Halo LR coming in at a very close second for hog hunting.
Yeah, and I know I'm so wishy-washy on this. Here's the problem.
It's because we love them all. We love all these scopes.
Well, I'm serious about this. If in our other list that we've had on the different categories, there's one or two of those that Hans and I would look at and say, it's not a bad scope. It's not for me. I would never use it. I mean, maybe it's the PTS 736 or something. It's 6 power. I'd never use that scope. Wouldn't dream of it. It's just too much. We could always take a couple off. These scopes, and I know that there's going to be Envision fans, there's going to be Trijicon fans who might disagree with this, but I think anybody who's objective, and I've talked to a lot of guys who've used both these scopes. I mean, I say both, the LR and a lot of these Trijicons, they'll tell you the same thing. You take these scopes, you throw them in a bag, shake it up, pull one out, and you're going to have an amazing optic. Yeah. I mean, they're that close. I mean, we're not fighting this battle over image quality and features because it's essentially the same. We're fighting it over, just the magnification, the usage of the scope, the look, the feel, the layout of the buttons, the menus, and all that. But I do think maybe I'm being, I like the LR. It's just really hard for me to use that as close as we hunt, most of our stuff being under 100. So that's why I'm just wavering on these IR hunters. But again, I think I'm gonna stick with it because I've said it. Yeah. I think my choice is okay. We like it. But overall, and I guess you're right, I probably did give that away. I kept talking.
Well,
I do like overall.
When your wife asks you for dinner, I can only imagine the discussion that comes after you're trying to talk yourself what you want for dinner.
That's funny.
Do I want the chicken nuggets or the chicken straw fries?
It's funny that you said that because tonight my wife asked the question of something about, do you want this or that for supper? And I said, whatever's easiest for you, dear. And she was like, wow, making my life easy. See there? And listen at you. That's the kind of guy I am. Well, hey, let me tell you this. Chicken strips or chicken nuggets is not the decision that I'm having to make here on $9,000 scopes. This is a little harder. Buy a scope or
buy a brand new Kia car.
That's exactly. I can tell you, I'll take a scope over a Kia. Yeah. So, exactly. All right, best overall optic. My first place is going to go to the Halo LR. I do think, like I said, and I guess I did kind of walk through that out loud, that it is a little bit of the best of both worlds. We both hunted with it, hunting hogs. It is a little more magnification than I want sometimes, but I know a lot of guys do not get as close as we do. They may have those opportunities. They may be hunting in a little more open country or farm country and be able to, they may have to be stuck back a little bit further. So I understand that. I would say that's going to be my overall because you can absolutely still go hunt coyotes with it. I think my follow-up for that in an overall is going to be back to the same thing I did for my coyotes. I think it's going to be my, the IR Hunter, Mark III or the Mark II because, again, 2.5 power. Again, if Trijicon would change that Reap, move the joystick, I would move it up. I would just quit talking about the IR hunters. But so yeah, I'm going to choose the Halo overall, and I'll quit talking about it. But I want to say this before I'm done. Again, both are great companies. But one thing I think we've got to look at is value. And we're just making some assumptions here that money's not a big object. But when you're looking at $74.95, that is one of the cheapest optics on this list. I mean, the Mark II 35 millimeter, $69.99 is the least expensive. So this is one of the cheapest optics on the list, least expensive. It's got a 5-year warranty. That's something that has to be brought up. You're getting 2 more years on the warranty than you're getting with Trigicon. And I'll tell you this, I have been very impressed. We've sold a lot of Envision. We have not had hardly any problems at all. But I had a customer the other day that got a brand new scope. It was a very slight issue with it. Something was on the display. It was an imperfection. Very minor deal. The customer was real nice about it. Said, hey, it's not an emergency, but I noticed this on there. No problem. And I tell you what, Envision went way above and beyond to handle that problem. I was blown away at the speed of the customer service and what they did for us. I mean, it was a matter of minutes before we had a return authorization. All they needed was the serial number, told them the problem. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, overnighted the guy the scope. He got it back in time for a hunting trip. It was crazy. Really good customer service. I can't say enough good about Envision there. And at $74.95, I think it's the bargain of these high-end scopes. And that's my take. And I'm going to put my pin down and be done right there.
So I've mentioned the Halo LR on the 2 choices prior to this, and my overall pick is also going to be the Envision Halo LR for all the reasons that you mentioned. Also, I'm going to take the money that I save from buying the Trigicon 60 millimeter, and I'm going to put that money down on a handheld. So I'm going to get an Envision Halo LR and a handheld and still be the same amount of money in. But no, like you said, the 3.5 power, perfect range for coyote hunting, still not bad enough where you can take close shots. Everything you said with all the picture image, the customer service, the 5-year warranty, that's a big deal. 2 extra years
for $1,500 less.
For $1,500 less, the same quality. The basically, and you and I agree, and I think a lot of others, that the Envision Halo might even have a slightly better picture.
Yep,
and,
I agree.
I mean, it's just with all of your getting and the price difference at $1,500 dollars less expensive, man, you just cannot go wrong with the Halo LR. And here's the one thing, because I know the guys over at Envision listen to this show. They comment all the time. They listen. Please continue doing what you're doing, and please continue to come out with new products, and you will be very, very successful in this industry. They've already started out with a big bang in their first year. So good job over there. Continue it. Hope to see new products and continue doing what you're doing with what you got on the market right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I like to see. We said this when we were talking about Envision early on this show, is that we wanted to see someone contend with Trigicon toe to toe. And look, we have nothing against Trigicon, and I know that Envision doesn't either. They know Trigicon's a great company, and they have had this category wrapped up for a very long time. And I say Trigicon, it used to be IR Defense, but Trigicon bought them. They've just had this category all to themselves, and competition is a good thing. It's better for the consumer. It's better for everybody in the end. Now, granted, a market can get oversaturated, but it's not with 2 big competitors right here. I think it's great. I think it's gonna force Trigicon to do something and to try to get better. And I think Envision's gonna have to do the same thing. And so I think it's great. Anyway, definitely that's our picks. And I know that again, this is kind of like having, especially in this high end category, having a Ford, Dodge, Chevy debate. There's a lot of guys that have invested a lot of money in these optics, have used them for a long time in the field, and really like one or the other. Hans and I said it from the beginning. We have nothing against any of these optics, including the Type 2 Reaps. You throw them in a bag, shake them up. You got a great optic. So, and that's not just trying to be political. I'm being honest. These are this group of scopes. There's no other group of scopes on the market that you can take that I can say they're this close in everything, quality and everything.
And I got something to say. This is the 3rd week in a row on the Best of show for 2019. still not talking about ATN. Just for everybody out there. Third show in a row, still not talking about ATN.
That seems like there may be a... Wow, I'm going to leave that there. Folks, moving along, not talking about ATN, I want to talk about something else that is brand new this week. It hit the U.S. We should, by the time this show airs, have them in stock, and that is a optic that kind of surprised us. It is the Pulsar Axion XM22 handheld thermal monocular. There is some debate between Hans and I if we have already mentioned this on the show or not, and I think we both forgot to go back and listen. I don't think we did, but maybe we did. I can't remember. We talked about it. I just found out about it.
Teased it.
Yeah, I think we might have. I'm going to tell y'all just a little bit about it because we don't know a lot. But what it is the latest in the Axion line. It is if you don't know what the Axions are, go look them up. Pulsar Axion handheld, the size of a laser rangefinder, rechargeable battery pack. This is definitely going to be the entry level model for these. It's going to. I should add, this is the Key XM22, and the Key indicates that it does not have video recording, it does not have a smartphone app, and it has an FLCOS display, which is a type of liquid crystal over silicone. So it's not rated for as cold of a temperatures. It's going to be, I think the minimum temperature is around 14 or 15 degrees. Because of that liquid crystal display, the display is slightly physically smaller and lower resolution. It's going to be a 2-power base magnification at $16.99. Now, its big brother is the Key XM30 at 2.5 power at $18.99. So it's $200 less, and it's a half a power less. That's the extent of it. That's really all we know about it. That's maybe all there needs to be said. We should have these in our hands very soon, and probably right after Thanksgiving. Hans and I will do a review of this optic and how we like it and how we think it compares to the other Axions. We've reviewed all those on this show, and so we'll be talking about it. If you are interested in one of those, give me a shout, and I will be glad to help you. Like I said, I will have those on the shelf by the time this podcast airs. Now, one more thing that I think is, well, you know what? We're going to leave that there because I want to wait. I want to just wait till we get it in our hands, use it, and before we start talking about image quality, it was a surprise to us to hear this thing was coming. So we'll have them soon, and we'll be doing a full review of it on this show.
Can I mention one thing before we close?
Sure. I mean, I can't say no. So
I
sure.
got my hand raised over here in the corner.
Yes.
So, last weekend I kind of done something I've never done before, but in a 24-hour period, I went on 2 hog hunts, a crow hunt, and a deer hunt in a 24-hour period. And I've never been crow hunting before, but a good buddy of mine here locally asked me to go out and do it, and I was like, I'll try anything once. And we didn't shoot a lot. Actually, we only shot one apiece. And I had to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning after staying out real late hog hunting. But pretty cool how you call in the crows with a caller, and he even had decoys out, and I mean they were flying all around us. We were in a pecan orchard, and man, they were circling us and circling. They never would get low enough, but that was a pretty cool experience, crow hunting for the first time, and did that.
And how'd the deer hunting go?
Man, okay, so I've got. Jason knows this because that's really all I've been talking about here lately, which is weird for me because I'm hog hunter, 100%. But yeah, so there's a big 10-point deer that's been showing up on camera for a while now, only at night, and I really want to shoot him. So I've got the Sight Mark Wraith. I got it mounted on a Diamondback Creedmoor 6.5 Creedmoor, and I went out and sat. I've actually done 2 sits now, but the first one went out, sat, got in a stand. Well, I say a stand. I leaned against a tree at 4 o'clock in the woods and sat there for 2.5 hours and saw 2 rabbits, and that was it.
Yeah.
On the second sit though, I did see a doe, so we're getting better.
I want to tell y'all something. I can't help but giggle. Everything that Hans is to hog hunting. I mean, he's one of the premier hog hunters in Texas. So no, you are. You're very well known. He is if there's such a thing as a professional, I think it's Hans. He's got all the right gear. He does all the right stuff. Got, all the videos on YouTube to prove it. So in as much as he is a professional hog hunter, he is an amateur deer hunter. It's big time too.
It is. So I remember growing up deer hunting. I mean, I tell you this, on Thanksgiving, I don't even know if you know that, on Thanksgiving we would not do Thanksgiving dinner. We would be deer hunting every Thanksgiving.
Oh my goodness.
And I did that. Yeah, I did that until I was in my 20s. And stopped doing that. And now though that I'm sitting out there waiting on something to show up, now I'm reminded why I don't like deer hunting.
I know.
Because I hate sitting. I mean, I hate sitting still for that long, especially if you're not in a blind. If you're trying to blend in and hide in the woods, you got to be super still. And that's why I was trying to bum and buy an old pop-up stand from Jason today.
Yeah, but, hogs and coyote hunting, both of those will kind of kill your deer hunting, because with the way we hunt hogs, most of the time is driving around, going to fields, walking, going down log roads, trails, whatever it is, popping around a corner in the field, seeing if hogs are there. Worst case, you set up the call for 10 or 15 minutes, move on. Yeah. Same thing with coyote. You're making a stand, lots of action, moving. Mm-hmm. And that deer hunting is just sitting and staring.
And I've had this cough, so I'm out there, trying to cough, but not trying to cough at the same time. I'm
going to tell y'all something. If he kills this deer, I already told him I'm going to hate him, because it's just going to be like blind hog found an acorn. That's all it's going to be.
I'm not going to see him, but it is fun getting back into it is a big buck, getting back into deer hunting. And I've got plans. I'm going to take my daughter out there, but man, she's a little chatterbox. I don't know if she's going to be able to handle out there, not talking for that long.
I'm on my 12th hunt with my daughter this year, just trying to get her first deer. Yeah. And we've just had the case of just terrible luck, but I know all about the chatterbox. I'll tell a story about that another time. But okay, folks, listen, we've been just rambling on. All this was unplanned. This is typical when Hans and I get together. We just get to talking and telling stories. But anyway, hey, we appreciate y'all coming and listening to this show. We hope you found it interesting. Hope that you maybe learn something. If you disagree or agree, let us know. Everybody's got the right to their own opinion. And if you're looking for any of these optics, give me a call. I would love to talk to you. Love to help you. If you don't know what you need, but you're ready to buy something and you need help, and you want to sort through and sift through, figure out what might be right for you, give me a call. It's Outdoor Legacy. You can find us at outdoorlegacygear.com, or the phone number is 877-350-1818. Be glad to help and answer any questions that we can. You can find Outdoor Legacy also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you are looking for Hans, you can find him on Instagram. But the best place is YouTube. That's where all of his world famous videos are. Yeah, he's like a really big deal in Korea, I hear. But so if
South Korea,
North Korea. So you can find Hans on YouTube by searching for HANSETX, Hans East Texas. Same thing on Instagram. He hangs out over there and posts lots of pictures.
Oh yeah, posting pictures every day, videos every day. But we appreciate y'all joining us. This has been episode 81. This is the best high-end thermals for 2019. Also, we've got the review of the Axion XM22 coming up here in the next couple of weeks. But thank y'all for joining us this week. Y'all stay safe in the field. We'll see you next week. Keep making them bacon pancakes.